All right. Hello, citizens of the Nigerverse. It's Nigel once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. And more specifically, this is going to be the last Survivor Series review for the month of November for the year 2025. Obviously, we will pick things back up in 2026. When it comes to Survivor Series, but for 2025, one last ride. Now, previously, I had reviewed the first ever Wargames match, that being at NWA Jim Crockett Promotions Great American Bash 1987, War Games, The Match Beyond. Now, about 30 years later, WWE would reintroduce War Games in NXT, but 5 years after that, in 2022, with Triple H at the helm, WWE would bring War Games up to the main roster. What would happen when the Bloodline faced the Brawling Brutes, and what type of decision would Sami Zayn have to make? Let's find out. I'm, of course, talking about the Bloodline first, that being Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, and at the time the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. The Usos, who were the undisputed Tag Team Champions, and Solo Sikoa, who was the enforcer of the Bloodline at the time, and Sami Zayn, aka the Honorary Us, aka Sami Uso. Going against the Brawling Brutes, that being Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch, the Scottish Warrior Drew McIntyre, and Kevin Owens. And now, of course, as always, I am not professional wrestling reviewer or analyst or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time, and I definitely had a really great time rewatching this match. This was the first time I had watched this match since it happened, and I can say 3 years later, I think it still holds up. It's a really great match. And not bad for the companies, or at least the main rosters. Technically, second outing because the women's War Games match was earlier in the show, but the first official. Or the first official War Games main event on the main roster, if that makes any sense. But of course, let's get right into it. Now, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you can already know how this works. But if you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and disliked about the match. As for how we got here, as I kind of alluded to, the Bloodline is pretty much the top entity in WWE at the time. Sammy, is kind of tagging along. Sorry, I accidentally hit my mic. Sammy is tagging along. He's been really trying to, and really trying to become a member of the Bloodline and really align himself with the Bloodline. And so, at first they didn't want him around, but eventually they accepted him, and he was going around wearing the Bloodline shirt. They eventually got him his own shirt, the honorary Us shirt. Sammy he and Jay have been kind of having issues. They've been kind of going back and forth, with Sammy even declaring that Jay is not very oozy, which it's still probably one of the funniest segments in history. If you haven't, go watch that segment. It is absolutely hilarious. Like just reaction from everyone to what Sammy says, just all of it. The fact Jay tries to turn away, but Roman just pulls him no, 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 stay right here. Like it's hilarious, but Roman really wants Sammy to prove himself to the Bloodline and really prove where his allegiance lies. Does it lie with the Bloodline, or does it lie with his best friend Kevin Owens? And speaking of which, the other team is pretty much all the people who Roman has wronged that year. Drew McIntyre came up short against Roman Reigns thanks to interference from Solo Sikoa, who made his main roster debut at Clash of the Castle. And then Drew got serenaded at the end with American Pie by Tyson Fury. He's so great. Drew, who has kind of put his differences aside for the time being with Sheamus, who they've been rivals. They had been beefing. They were feuding over the past couple years. But now they've put it aside. Drew saying, "And if I'm gonna die in battle, I want to die alongside my brother." So, so the Brawling Brutes are now aligned, and Kevin Owens is there pretty much despite Sami's hate and because he loves to fight. Also, shout out to Kevin Owens for that Dusty Rhodes T-shirt and for the red elbow pad, showing homage to Dusty Rhodes, the man who came up with the War Games concept. As for this match, starting with what I liked, all the stories that were told throughout the match, all the continuity that was there through the match, including Roman and wanting Sammy to go in instead of Jimmy, who was raring to go. It's worth mentioning Jay Uso and Butch started this one off. Butch, who would become Pete Dunne, once again, who was Pete Dunne, then he became Butch, then he became Pete Dunne. And Roman and really in a way testing Sammy. We see kind of the dissension between Sammy and Jay, including Jay accidentally nailing Sammy with a super kick. We see the we see how the Bloodline interacts throughout the match. The Brawling Brutes controlling a majority of it, as the Bloodline can't really, mainly Sammy and Jay, can't fully stay on the same page. And eventually it culminates in Sammy ultimately siding with the Bloodline, and after low blowing and then delivering the Haluva kick to Kevin Owens to ultimately align with the Bloodline, and then allowing Jay to nail the splash to get the win. And Sammy aligns himself with the Bloodline, something that would be undone come Royal Rumble, but nevertheless, for the time being, Sammy is fully with the Bloodline, and he kind of, it's funny how he like taunts his opponent saying, "You're dealing with the Bloodline now," throughout the match. That was pretty funny. Also, the matching attires from the Bloodline, the red was pretty cool. But yeah, so the action, everything throughout, the stories that were interwoven in the match, I think, also really helped flesh things out, really helped solidify everything. And the 10 beats of the Bowdrin from all 5 of the members of the face team in what was pretty cool, or as Michael Cole puts it, 50 beats of the Bowdrin, and then seeing how all the members interacted between each side. I think everything culminating at once was pretty cool to see. And ultimately, after Sammy making his choice and helping out the Bloodline, Roman embracing Sammy and posing with the rest of his family was pretty cool to see. Now, as for what I didn't quite like, in terms of a lot of like creative or interesting spots, aside from like the 1D off the cage from the Uso, was not a whole lot there. There are also not really any blood, so well, if you were looking for that in this match, sadly there was none to be found here. Sadly in WWE you don't get you don't get blood very often, but the fact that there was none in here was kind of surprising. At least none that I can remember. Not even Kevin Owens, who's wearing the Dusty Rhodes T-shirt, or that would have been that would have been the time to do it. But yeah, and it felt a bit, excuse me, it felt a bit, I don't want to say one-sided, but it felt a bit weighted toward the Brawling Brutes for a little too long. And I get that's part of the story is like the Bloodline having to come together, Jay having to find his inner Uzi, essentially, in order to beat the Brawling Brutes slash Drew McIntyre and then slash Sheamus. But but, I do feel it was a little for a little too long at least. I would have liked to see a little more balance, but maybe that's just me. But ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on those post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you never miss an upload. Let me know in the comment section below what are your thoughts on the match, my review of the match. Do you like this match? Do you like my review of the match? Let me know. Thank you all once again for 100 subscribers. I know I mentioned it in my Wargames Match Beyond review, but I love and appreciate each and every one of you who thank you all so much. And 100 sub video is coming tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. And we're actually gonna be doing quite a few things through the month of December. And you know what? Now that I think about it, even though we didn't quite have it in time for November and Survivor Series season, next month, aka December, we will we'll do the we will do the uh we'll do the first NXT War Games match. In fact, I'll see if I can squeeze it in this week. If not, you'll have it next week. There's actually quite a bit we have to do next week, so there's quite a bit coming to the channel, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.